All right. I have 3 challenges I want to share with you and 3 gifts. And the reason why I say 3 is because we are 3 months into this van life experiment. Actually, it's a little bit over. And so I thought it was time that we recap some observations that I've had over the last 3 months. And we're going to start off with the challenges and then get into the gifts. And there will probably be a bonus tip of some sort in there. So I hope you'll stick around. If you're new here, my name is Michelle. Blaze is in her co-pilot seat, chilling, waiting for us to go on an adventure somewhere. And we are somewhere in Montana. And it's a little cloudy. It's been a little smoky because of the fires happening in Idaho. And we've gone on some adventures, but we're at the tail end of our budget, what's remaining. So I've been trying to hold back for a little bit, which is a reality of life in general, but van life especially, because gas and campsite costs, entrance fees are all variable costs that you can control by staying in one spot or traveling slower. And so that's what we've been trying to do. But I think the flip of that is one of the things I'm going to get to. All right, let's get to it. 3 challenges, and the first one is a doozy, and there's actually 3 things in here. So let's start with that one. That is, I have had some issues, I wouldn't say necessarily with the build, but with components and managing other things. So the first one I'll start with is the Renogy DC to DC charger. We installed a 60 amp version of that when we did the build, and it crapped out on me like 8 weeks into or 6 weeks into van life. I replaced it on the road with the exact same component because I didn't want to have to figure out anything new without having my dad or an experienced electrician like by my side. So I replaced the original components with the same thing. I did rerun the positive wire from the base of the driver's seat all the way to the back of the van. And if you missed that video, I'll put a link up above and down below. And it crapped out on me. The reason why or how I knew it crapped out is I started to smell something burning. And so I went searching for what could that possibly be. But it's working fine for now. And we'll see how long it lasts. It only has a 1-year warranty. And from what I've heard, their customer service is pretty crappy too. So I didn't take the time to request a refund or jump through all the hoops that I'm sure that they would make you jump through. So it wasn't worth my time and energy. I'd rather just get on the road and not be dependent on shore power. So the second thing is, I think it's as of a result, because I had to fiddle around in that cabinet. But my heater, I have a Chinese diesel heater because it was the cheapest option, for like $150 versus $1,400. Huge difference. It keeps saying that it is overheating. And I've got it on like the lowest temperature setting. And my guess, I haven't rummaged around in there yet, but my guess is that I may have accidentally, on the front of it, it's got a air intake, and I think I may have twisted that. So I need to pull a couple drawers out of that cabinet and stick my phone back in there to see which direction it needs to be turned and make sure it's turned in the right direction. And the third thing in this first challenges is my power consumption. I only have 500 watts of solar on the roof, and I do have a 60 amp DC to DC charger, but I really like to sit out in BLM land or National Forest land for as long as I possibly can. It's just more enjoyable. We have a saying called "you people," and when we are, sorry y'all, I'm getting hot, so I'm taking my socks off. When we are out in BLM, Blaze, for the most part, unless we're in grizzly country like we are right now, Blaze is able to go off leash, and she's got an electric collar, so it's really easy to recall her. She also responds really well to it. And I like to find places that have water access, whether it be a lake or a river, and then we get to go play, and she gets to wear herself out, and we have fun. So I share all that because if you're not driving and you don't have enough solar on the roof, then your power is just going to, gradually deplete because you're not replenishing it. And so I've been using my camp stove to cook. I've done a lot of, because it's been hot, I've been doing a lot of like cold plate dishes, so more like snacky stuff, rather than to make an actual meal. And when I make it back to my home base, my dad and I are going to remedy my power consumption issue, possibly a couple different ways. So I'll share that when the time comes. All right, so that is the end of my first challenge, and that was a doozy. And there's multiple components, but basically it's just issues in general with the build / just things, components. All right, so the next thing is boredom. I am a solo female traveler, and I have a dog who's sitting next to me, and she's bored. If she's bored, I'm probably bored, or pretty darn close. When we left North Carolina, I did not have enough room for my stand-up paddle board, and my bike was not in great condition, nor did I have a way to carry it. And I think when I make it back to North Carolina, both of those things are going to come with us the next time we head out. Because I need something to do. And I think if Blaze and I, especially in the summer months, if we can escape the van and be on the water or in the water more, then we will both be tired and we won't be bored anymore because we'll be tired. Part of that is also what I mentioned earlier is budget. Because I'm still paying off components from the build, my travel funds are limited. So my goal over the next couple months, and even as we do some of these upgrades, additions, changes, is to pay it off before I leave my home base again. And that is my bonus tip for y'all, is if you are in building mode and you're nearing completion, or actually anywhere throughout the process, 1, make sure you establish budget. 2, stick to your budget. 3, if you go over your budget or you at least exceed your monthly budget on build expenses, pay it off before you leave town. You'll be so glad that you did. Trust me. So yeah, I'm bored. I also think, and this leads into my third challenge, I also think if I had some van friends or some travel buddies or just slightly less solitude, I think I would feel a little more content out here. I'm pretty isolated because I don't go into town very often. I only go into town if I have to, right? If I need groceries, gas, water, dump, throw away my trash. Those are really the only reasons why I go into town. Or entertainment, right? Sometimes I'll go to a brewery or something and sit at the bar just to have somebody to talk to, or like people around me. So yeah, I need some van friends or some travel buddies. So if you're in a van and you're lonely too, not really lonely, but you're alone part of the time and you want less solitude, hit me up. Maybe we can pal around a little bit. So those are my 3 issues. That was pretty fast. The next things are my gifts. And I will say, I already mentioned this, the 6th one that I was going to mention a little bit. But the gifts, y'all, this is why we do this. It's not, we do it probably for the solitude on occasion or within reason. But I chose this lifestyle because I love to go on adventures. I love to be surrounded by stunning landscapes. I love to spend time in fresh bodies of water, preferably not salt. I love to go hiking. And I love to just really take in the surroundings. And we have been so fortunate over the last 3 months, and it continues, and it will continue, because that's why you do this lifestyle, to surround ourselves with absolutely stunning landscapes and take multiple adventures by ourselves and with some camp friends, and allow Blaze to be off leash and to meet other dogs and other people and to play in the water. And those are the gifts. We have done a couple hikes. We have been in some absolutely beautiful campsites. There is one where we were... Where were we? We were in the middle of Wyoming, in probably the most remote campground I've ever been in. And there were 2 loops and nobody was camped in our loop. There was a lot of ATV side-by-side traffic going up to the top. I didn't venture up there. It was pretty steep. And there was an open range in front of us, which meant that there were cattle and antelope. We saw a fox one day playing, possibly capturing something. And Blaze and I would sit in her seat with the nose of the van, the front of the van, pointed out towards this open range. And as the sun was setting, we would watch the animals. And she would sit in my lap and we would just sit there. It was one of the most peaceful, most relaxing places we have camped. Yeah. So that is 3 challenges, 1 bonus, and 3 gifts. The gifts being adventures/hiking, stunning landscapes, and Blaze being able to be off leash and to play in the water. So if any of that, especially the gifts more so, right? If any of that sounds interesting and you have been contemplating this kind of lifestyle, whether it's full-time or part-time, just weekends, whatever it might be, and if the gifts that I mentioned appeal to you or you crave them, then I think that this is something you might want to seriously consider. However, if you're not a fan of solitude, or you're not a fan of being bored, or you're not a fan of fixing things while you're on the road, then just know that that's something that you may have to deal with, and that you have to be willing to accept the challenge, right? Or at least be able to find a solution, whether it's temporary or permanent, or to keep yourself busy and occupied, challenged. So yeah, that's where we are. Next week, I'll have another van build video. I just wanted to take some time to, reflect on the past 3 months, everything that we've come up against and everything beautiful that we have experienced. And we'll see where the road leads, right? So yeah, stay tuned for the next video. Next Sunday, I'll have another van build video coming your way. I haven't sorted through all of the video content yet, so I have no idea what's in it, but I'm sure it'll be great. I'm sure there will be some lessons learned in there that I can share with you, because yeah, that's just how life is. Just one learning opportunity after another. All right, I'm going to sign off. Y'all take good care of yourselves, and thank you so much for being here. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Bye.